Welcome, everyone, to an off-season NABC chat. I'm Andy Katz, pleased to be joined by Eric Musselman from Arkansas, fresh off a European excursion. No one does fun like you, Muss, but you guys got some good work in. Yes, you went 4-0, but what did you find out about your team on this trip?
Well, I having gone on a Costa Rica trip with Nevada, I'll tell you a quick story, Andy. Kendall Stevens did not make a three-point shot in Costa Rica. We laughed because he was 0 for Costa Rica in 5 games. And then he ended up breaking Jimmer Fredette's Mountain West three-point record. So I'm going to take the overseas for what it is. We had one game that was really good competition, one game that was decent competition, 2 games where it's really hard to evaluate because the competition was not, at the same level that we were. But we did learn a lot with so many new faces. We only have 2 returning players in Devontae Devo Davis and Kamani Johnson. So with all 11 guys, it gave them game experience. We started all 13 players at one point over our 4 games, so everybody got an opportunity. And then the last game, we shortened up our rotation a little bit more. But we're a long team. We need to take better care of the basketball. We had way too many turnovers in our 4 games overseas, Andy. And then we got to shoot the ball better from the perimeter. We did not shoot the 3 well, but we are bigger. We are a stronger team, very athletic team, but a lot of areas we got to get better at prior to November rolling around.
You know, what's interesting, Eric, is that how it has changed, where it used to be you really want to take this foreign trip because you got the 10 practices, and then you got some games, and that might be your only opportunity once every 4 years to be with your guys in the summer. Now, pretty much everyone's with their guys all summer in some form or fashion. Then you take a trip. So what are the benefits in this new era of also taking a trip at a time when you can be with your guys in the summer?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, especially with not just Arkansas, but just the transfer market, you really do need to get to know your guys as quick as you possibly can, them off the floor. And when you're practicing 4 hours a week in the summer and you're seeing them maybe 2 times a week, some weeks, maybe 3 times some weeks, that's not enough to really get to know them. And so what it did is when you're hanging out on the beach, when you're going on a boat cruise, it gives you an opportunity over dinners to sit and talk to your guys, find out what's important to them, find out, hey, do we have a click over here? And we got to try to pull more guys to get. So there's a lot of really, really benefits to it, maybe more so from a chemistry standpoint than what you're gaining from an X and O or a personnel standpoint.
The other thing, too, I was thinking, you've got a lot of high-profile incoming freshmen, someone like Nick Smith. You've got big-time guys, and when you pull them out of the country, nothing's anything wrong with their peripheral people, but how much does it also allow them to begin that growth part of their lives of separating from some of the people that sort of got them to this point?
Well, I think for sure when you're talking about, 6 freshmen out of your 13 scholarship players, you do need those guys to get away from comfort. So we have 3 players from the state alone. So, yeah, I think it does benefit us to get out of the country, to travel together. We learned so much that I took for granted. If you're going to have a simple walkthrough for 5 minutes, did guys bring tennis shoes or just flip-flops? And, but it allowed us simple things to say, this is how we conduct business on the road. It allows you to maybe, hey, somebody thinks that if bus is leaving at 3:00, that means that they can get on the bus at 2:59. That's not really how we operate, and we're not going to wait on people to get. So all those things are really important. And not just for the freshmen, but also for a bunch of new players, 11 guys that are not used to doing things the way that we do things.
You have great experience in rosters that turn over from your professional career. How do you ensure there's momentum after the last couple of years that you've had at Arkansas, where you've had tremendous success in March, but then it's a bit of a reset and a restart here this upcoming season?
Yeah, I think that, we understand that the way we play in November is hopefully not the way that we're going to play in March. And so I think that if you're constantly talking to your team about that we're going to evolve, We're not coming out November being who we will be, because some teams do take steps backwards. We don't want to be one of those teams. We want player development, individual development to always be at the forefront of what we're doing. I think if your players are getting better individually, your team as a whole collectively is going to get much better. So you're right. We have no momentum from last year. We're coming off 2 Elite Eights. They mean nothing because we have 11 new guys. And so we're starting fresh, but they have gotten off to a really good start. Our 8 weeks in our summer session were really good. Our 8 or 9 days, whatever, overseas went well. And now we have to have 2 great months in September and October to get ready for opening night.
How would you gauge the leadership of Devo and Kamani?
Both those guys have really developed from a leadership standpoint for sure, especially when you're talking about, skeleton or 5-on-0 offense. Those guys are the directors. Those guys are the offensive coordinators. There are drill coordinators. When I yell out a drill, there might be 4 or 5 guys still unsure about what we're doing, and it's up to Devontae and Kamani both to jump out there and say, hey, this is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it, to get to your spots quickly. So they've done a great job of that. And I thought in the 4 games, whether it be a huddle, I think they've prepared guys for what huddles were going to be like, how we come in out of huddles, how we leave huddles, on floor, free throw huddles, all those things. I thought both guys did a fabulous job for us.
All right, the freshmen and the transfers. Sounds like you played everybody, obviously, and gave everyone a shot. But there are a couple, whether they're from Rhode Island or Arizona State or high-profile McDonald's All-Americans, that you feel are a little ahead of the game as we get ready a couple of months from now?
Well, I think a lot of our guys have like some skill or some area that can really help us. First of all, we are a bigger team. When we went out and tried to address our size up front. But I would say Brazil did a phenomenal job, a transfer from Missouri, just phenomenal. I've never seen a player in a short sample size shoot such a high percentage. He was really great defensively as well, blocking shots, altering shots, running the floor offensively, finishing around the rim. And then Nick Smith was phenomenal for us, shooting the basketball. He and Anthony Black both are point guards, so we're kind of going back and forth who handles the ball. Anthony Black, at his size, I mean, it's just so unique to have a point guard at 6'7" that's got great basketball IQ and length, and Jordan Walsh, a phenomenal athlete. So a lot of real positives I thought that we could take from the trip.
All right, schedule. Again, you've loaded it up. What are your thoughts on what you've got on tap before the SEC starts?
Well, the Maui is going to be, really, really challenging for everybody in that thing. I mean, I've been reading articles about San Diego State and Texas Tech, and we opened with Louisville, and Creighton's got a great team. So just a really, really loaded field. So that'll be 3 really difficult games. And the one thing that we found is when you have a roster that changes over, I mean, our game against Northern Iowa last year, I mean, went down to the wire. We've had a lot of those games early in November where if you don't come to play or you don't get your team mentally ready, are really challenging as well. So, but our Big 12 Challenge game is going to be really hard, a road game against a great Baylor team, and we play Oklahoma in Tulsa. So we have a really challenging non-conference slate.
All right, so you're owning social media. Do you lean on Mariah or do you lean on your older boys?
That's a great question, Andy. It's Danielle, number 1, my wife. She's the number 1 source. Number 2, Michael Musselman, who's on staff here.
Oh, okay.
Number 3, Mariah. And then if I need a 4th outside source, I go to the University of San Diego, where my son Matthew is a senior. So I have 4 components to the social media, all with different perspectives.
All right, I might have had Mariah a little higher. I guess because she's younger.
She's worried about her own social media presence.
That's right. Eric, I appreciate it. I'm glad you had a great summer, and I look forward to talking to you soon.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me on, Andy. Appreciate it.